Why did I sift my garlic? Well, I ran into some major problems during the growing and harvesting stages. So like always, instead of tumbling into a spin and giving up, I rolled with the punches, adapted, improvised and overcome to produce one of the best tasting garlic crops we've ever had. G'day, I'm Mark from Self-Sufficient Me, and in this video I'm not going to give you any spin, or maybe just a little. Rather, I'm going to share with you the reason for sifting my garlic in the first place, and I also want to show you how I sift up a super seedling mix to raise our next generation of garden vegetables. Let's get into it. I had big hopes for our garlic last season. I planted a variety right in this very bed here that I hadn't tried before, Glen Large. It was supposed to grow really well in the subtropics, but unfortunately at harvest time, it was Glen Small. Initially, it grew really well and I thought we would have a bumper crop, but then we had an unusually hot, dry winter, which stressed the plants out, and on top of that, leaf rust set in, and not even a dose of eco-fungicide could pull it back from the brink. Anyway, I chalked it up as a failure and subsequently gave up on the crop to a point where I was even too disappointed to salvage anything. I even planted several capsicums in the same bed before I came to my senses and realised that something is better than nothing, and perhaps I can harvest enough bulbs to replant next season. The problem was I had left the garlic in the bed for so long that the bulbs had broken up and the cloves mixed into the soil. I pondered. That's me pondering. What would be an easy way to clean up these garlic cloves? Then I remembered my times as a young fella at Lightning Ridge in the opal fields, watching my grandfather Herb and my uncle Mila mining for opal using these rolling tumblers to sift the rock and soil. And I thought, hang on, I've got one of them. Often water was sprayed into the rolling sifter when hunting for opals because it washed away the clay and made it easier to see any potential gems. The practice was called puddling, and puddling my garlic worked a treat. It was just a matter of leaving the sifted puddled garlic to dry, and then it was done. It goes to show you just how wrong I was, because although the garlic is small, most of it, it is actually very pungent and concentrated and an excellent flavour. In the end, we ended up with 1 kilo of garlic cloves. We've nearly finished it now, and yeah, it's not the best result, but hey, it was better than I expected. Now, let's move on to making that super seedling mix. To state the obvious, you want to get your seedlings off to a great start, because good strong seedlings turn into healthy, productive and tasty backyard vegetables. And the number one way to get your seedlings off to a good start is by growing them in the best seedling mix you can. And because a seed raising medium or mix should be finer than a general potting mix because of the roots and the small seed trying to break through the surface, I'm going to use my Rolling Garden Sifter to make sure I have the right consistency. The first ingredient I'm going to use is this pile of old cow manure and mulch all mixed in together. This is really old and great stuff to be used for seedlings, but obviously way too big, especially some of these chunks. The sifter is really easy to set up. It's just a matter of positioning it on your wheelbarrow. It's got an adjustable base for most size wheelbarrows, which is pretty cool. So it'll just fit on there. It fits nice and snugly. The end bit just hangs over the wheelbarrow a little bit so that the junk can fall out and the fine bits will obviously fall through the mesh here. Load him up. Oh, dig down and get some good stuff. Don't be too greedy and overload this thing because it won't work very well if it's overloaded. Probably about 2 spadefuls. There we go. And we just turn the handle, nice and easy. And within a matter of a few seconds, it's working. A lot of the chunky stuff is getting moved out and over the side, and the fine stuff is going through. Tip him out. Put another lot in. Now the inventor of this sifter is a single mum named Cheryl Smythe, and she lives in the USA, came up with this design out of necessity because she was a worm farmer and she wanted to sift out the worm casings but also her own compost. So this sifter was born, and then she thought, well hang on, maybe I can make a quid out of this if I can make it good enough and people, you know, want to buy a quality product like this, maybe they might. The reason I like this cow dung is because it's got good water holding qualities, because it's a nice, good water holding organic material. Plus it has a little bit of nutrients, but not too much nutrients like say chicken manure might have or other types of manures. So you know it's not going to burn your seedlings, but it's going to give them a bit of a feed to get them off to a good start. Look how fine it is. Isn't that just perfect? Rightio, that'll do. Let's get the next ingredient. The second ingredient is this compost here. The reason why I want to add compost is, although it's got exactly the same thing, good water holding qualities and nutrients, it will complement the manure because it'll be different types of nutrients that the compost will have. Now this compost here is a little underdone. In fact, it's quite a lot underdone. It's gone black. She's pretty well black gold there, but it's got a lot of large shells and stuff through it. What I'm going to do is obviously sift that out and just get the fine stuff. I'm going to get it out with this scoop and my bare hands, of course. There's lots of roly-polies in there. So bugs, they eat the compost and turn it into that beautiful black stuff that goes great in the garden. I've got this sifter here on an angle. You can't probably see it in the camera, but it's on a slight angle, so I don't want to lose any of the big chunks of compost over the edge. If I can, I just want to slowly turn it, keep what I don't use in there, the big chunks stay in there, and then just empty it back into the compost so it can break down further later on, and then I can reuse it. Right. Ugh. Not the best thing to do with the hands. Okay, put him in here. Bit more. Right, that's going pretty good. No, it's not coming out. Now Cheryl not only designed this sifter, but she makes them herself at home, at her own place. It's taken her a good 5 years to develop, and I think she's done a stellar job. She should be very proud of herself. Righty, I think that'll do. Pour this back in. Oh. I've got you guys in the shed so you don't get wet. See how I think of you? The third ingredient is this cheap, and I mean really cheap, potting mix. Now you might think, you know, you probably don't need it, and you might be right, because that compost and the cow manure mixed with a lot of that mulch probably will do a similar job. This is full of bark, this stuff, and precisely why I want to sift it, to get rid of those big bark chunks. The reason why I do want to use it though, it might add a little bit of extra fill to that mix. I've got a little tray here underneath so that I can save some of the larger stuff, and then I'll probably just chuck it in the garden or use it for larger pot plants. You can see how this is just pouring out here, coming into the tray down below, and all the big pieces are falling in down here. And the last thing I'm going to add is a little bit of perlite. It's volcanic rock, and you use it not to retain water like, say, vermiculite, because that stuff will help retain water, This doesn't have any of those properties at all. It really just adds a little bit of space between the soil and aerates it a bit. My concern would be that some of that manure mix might get a little bit too wet and soggy, and I don't want my seedlings to get boggy and dampen off. Put that in, I might do. I'll mix that through. About 2.5 litres, about half a 5 litre bag. I think that'll do it. This will do quite a lot of seedling trays. There's probably a good 20 litres, maybe 30 litres of mix in this, just from that short period. Half a wheelbarrow full, quite easily and cost effectively. And that's how you can make a super seed raising mix with a sifter. And I'm getting super wet at the moment. Anyway, for those of you who are still watching, we've got 2 of these sifters to give away. Yes, that's right, a competition. But I'm going to have to do a little bit of sifting out myself, so be warned, it's not going to be dead set easy. It's not going to be too hard, but it's not going to be a dead set lay down bazaar to get one of these. If you're interested, I'll leave the details for how you can enter this competition to win 1 out of 2 of these sifters below in the description and also the comment section. Good luck. Also, I will leave a link below to where you can buy one of these Rolling Garden Sifters with a special code that gives you 15% off. I really do love the story behind this sifter, the small business story, but it's not the reason why I'm recommending it. I'm recommending it because I've used it for the last 6 months myself, and I think it's a good product. And also, I think you're getting a fairly good deal as well for the amount of effort that goes into making one of these and the materials involved in it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you give it a rolling thumbs up as the rolling weather rolls in with the rolling thunder. Oh, the things us YouTube gardeners go through. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Bye for now. Oh.